housing, how are you going to take care of your health?
Exactly.
How are you going to, try to get your children back? How are you going to reestablish connections with your family if you don't have some place to call home? You can't take care of the rest of yourself and the rest of the components in your lives without housing.
It's hard to get housing. It's hard to get a job. You go through prison and you do their programs and you do the right thing and you get out and you can't work. Where do they expect you to live? Where do they expect you to work?
If you provide good treatment, you can reduce reincarceration by 20%. If you add to that another 20% by way of providing safe, clean, affordable housing, you reduce reincarceration by another 20%. If you provide a job, you're reducing reincarceration by another 20%. Now you add all of that up, that's 60% better. 60% better than what you would have had if you didn't have any of those resources.
I mean, the whole issue of coming out of a prison setting into a homeless situation for anyone is a disaster and an accident waiting to happen. So step one, it's not acceptable for people to leave to homelessness. Step two, if you have a health issue such as HIV, coming out of an institution sets you up almost to fail. Maintaining medication schedules, being able to eat in a healthy, safe way, being able to build support relationships, follow through with primary care is almost impossible to do in a homeless kind of a setting.
But most importantly, I think when a lot of people get out, the first thing they want is a place to to stay. That's the biggest fear, because all the people that I've talked to, one of the things we always talk about is, where am I going to live? I don't have any place to go. I don't have any home, So I think one of the biggest challenges is where people will live. People wonder, where am I going to live? I think once you deal with the issue, personally for me, I think if you deal with the issue of someone having a place to live, it's easier for them to go from there.
I just think that housing is, that number one thing people need. And to say that certain people aren't ready for housing or that we can't provide housing to certain people, it's just silly. We can. We've just got to change our paradigms and work in a harm reduction fashion with them. Everyone can change their behaviors, and most people, substance use, mental illness, all the things that people struggle with get better when they're housed because they have somewhere stable to be and to keep their things and eat at. So housing is like healthcare. It's the number one thing we need for people.
I never lost my children by being incarcerated, but I did lose our home. So, there's no telling where we would have been living if it wasn't for this place. The environment here is very safe. We have this gate here. All the children are friendly. They all get along really well. And they couldn't be happier. After being separated from us for however long, it was really nice to be able to bring them back to a home environment. A lot of us would have been homeless because of our situation, and just by having this place made things a lot easier on us and our children.
Fourth floor of the academy, and this is where everyone starts off at. The person stay here is anywhere between 2 weeks and 2 months, and we have 18 beds here, dormitory style, and we're going to take a look at one of the rooms so you can get an idea how the setup is. We're going to take a look at 401, okay? This room 401 is our largest room on the fourth floor, 5-man room. Everyone has their own bed, their own stand-up locker with that locks, and their own nightstand. And they all share one bathroom. And this is room 210. This is my room. Come in, please. Emergency housing, there is no cooking. You have to go downstairs to eat. So now it's a big change because now we go grocery shopping, we cook our own meals. So it's a beautiful program.
This is like an experiment, an ongoing experiment, because this is like one of the first of its kind. And the only thing that I would change is probably making it bigger, because, there's so many people out there who are ex-offenders who have nowhere to go.
I'm a former resident of the Fortune Academy. I was here for 8 months.
Since then, I moved on, have my own apartment. I'm employed by Fortune now. But prior to me coming to the academy, I had a 30-year history of crime, drugs, you name it. I've been upstate 5 times. And what happened was when I went to public assistance, they sent me to an SRO, which is single room occupancy. And there was basically, I was back in the same environment I left 5 years prior, because I had been incarcerated for 5 years this time. And it was drugs, prostitution, people committing crimes. It was the same thing all over again. So like I said, I was here for 8 months. It was a good 8 months, and the main thing was I was safe. Even though the environment around it is not always conducive, but once you're in the right frame of mind, I look forward to coming home here. Once I got in here, I know I had things I had to do. I had a nice place to live. People don't realize what this place is like until you get in. Unless you've been in that shelter system and you come here, boy, this is like night and day. This is night and day.
There is such a need. There is such a huge need. I can't tell you how many letters we get daily from men and women incarcerated who want to have a place waiting for them for when they get out. Too many times, people have done damage to their family life. They're not trusted. They've done too many things to family, and family wants to see them from far away for a little while. So they want to, they want to start the relationship, but they don't want to end the house. And they want to start somewhere else, and they want to be able to prove to their families that they've changed, that things are different now. I mean, it's bad enough they came from an environment where they were in a cell and they were told what to do and all of this. And then to go into an environment where there's active drug use, there are people drinking there are people acting out sexually, they're living in a dormitory, and the noise level, it's incredible. And for someone who has learned to survive in prison, to come out and try and use those survival skills, you'll end up back in prison.
And with housing, especially a lot of temporary housing and shelters, people have to be out during the day. And being out in what must be an incredibly chaotic world after being in this completely infantilizing, controlling space is very traumatic for a lot of people. And also people are very frequently very seriously ill. Very minor illnesses become out of control within prison. So people also really need a place where they can relax and just sleep and really recover, both physically and emotionally when they get out of prison, and that's not really available in our current setup when we think about homelessness and what people's needs are.
Our ability to go and reach your apartment when you get out of prison is like, and so they try to make motels accessible, and that's more money than an apartment. Pretty much when you get out of prison, if you don't have a support group, if you don't have a family that provides, or you weren't really a career person before you went, you're kind of in a kind of hopeless situation, I mean, the people that have never been to prison encounter states of hopelessness, states of houselessness, homelessness, and people living in cars that have never been to jail.
Well, I think having housing is a number one. Knowing that if you wanted to, and if it was pouring down rain, or if you were in Idaho where it will snow this winter, that you got someplace to sleep that night, that you have an alternative. You're not in a situation where the only place that you're going to get to sleep is in a crack house.